Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lorraine with Alternative Homesteading. I'm finishing up my day here, and I wanted to document some of the types of vandalism that are performed when you're on a covert terrorist watch list placed there, when you're an innocent person because either somebody doesn't like you, you're outspoken, you're a forward thinker, you're a woman, you're a divorced single woman, you're a woman with children. It's absolutely an assault against empowered women, empowered people. But this water catchment system is 2 years old. I have them around the property. I already documented that in one weekend, both of these hoses, this hose and that hose, were sliced. This is the second time the criminals, and that's what I'll call them, damaged this spout. So first they cut the washer here, and then they did something here where this will not turn off. First of all, it's swiveling. But this will not turn off no matter how hard I turn it. The water will not turn off. And this is something that they've done to other water catchments. So this water catchment also, what they're doing is they're going inside and pulling out the washer. See, this one's dripping too. This one never drips. It just started dripping today. And another water catchment over here, they pulled out by the chicken coop over there, right there. They pulled out the washer there. That one's not working. They systematically destroy anything that catches water, including these wash basins. These were mint condition basins, and they scraped to the base metal, the enamel, all around the interior. Their little weird smiley faces there and everything. You could see here what they did to this wash basin. This is not naturally occurring. Oh, and these criminals, they love spiders. They will place spiders all over your house because these little tiny spiders love to make spider webs. So you will find spider webs in places that you should never have a spider web. They'll be in every corner of your property, every corner of your house. It doesn't matter how often you clean it. They want to make it appear as if you're not caring for your property. And I'll give you another for instance. So this is my raised bed. This was here last year. So the criminals scraped it here. You can see that deep etch there. They drilled a hole in it this past week. They have a penchant for cutting out the knots in wood. And they love crescent moons because these are Freemason losers that go onto the property. It's called the white glove treatment. It's slow kill, white glove treatment. And they like to put crescent moons, stars, the Illuminati eye, the all-seeing eye. They'll etch that in wood. But they did this here too. You can see that those are scrapes. That's not naturally occurring, folks. That's not naturally occurring either. But they'll go around the property. Here you go. That's what they do. They do like a crescent moon, a half circle. And you'll find it all around the property. So there'll be triangles, X's, sometimes Y's, what appears to be the letter I, and they go by the runes. I'm not sure if you're familiar with runes, R-U-N-E-S, but they like to use that kind of symbolism because they practice witchcraft, and they are high witches. They're Luciferians, Satanists. They have rituals, and if you look it up on the IRS website, under the lodge system, L-O-D-G-E system, it specifically states that they practice rituals. And the thing is, the rituals are secret. And anything that's in secret, is suspect. But anyway, getting back to the vandalism, I'll show you another little crescent that they like to make. That's right, Ivory, you tell them. So they cut that out there. And I want to show you the base of this trunk because they've been picking at it little by little by little. I mean, you know, like 2 weeks ago, it didn't look like this. So they're picking at it. Look at the side here. So they're doing it a little bit at a time. It's a slow kill. I use this, so because I use it and the chickens like to sit on it, they're going to destroy it. But they've also been slicing the wood here and here and here. It wasn't like that. And because this wood is old, and they're slicing it, it's going to expand faster than if it were new wood. And here you go. So they're slicing this too. This is all new. And they know that I'm going to be placing my property on the market. So they're really amping it up. I'm the only person on the block with a legal land survey, which makes the property more valuable. So here you go. Look at that. You see that? They just cut that. I'm just noticing that for the first time. And they like to stick nails in things. So here's a nail. The former owner, he would never have built it like this. But this is what the criminals do. They like to slice wood, pick at it. Look at that. Do you see that? I mean, I painted over that. But they stuck a nail right in there. And you see that? They slice it. They do this when I'm asleep. People want to know, well, how come you don't hear it? Well, I'm asleep. Here. I'm asleep, and, you know, I live in a small house, in the back room of the house, and if I'm asleep and it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they work quickly, I wouldn't necessarily hear it. And they interfere with my cameras, disrupt the Wi-Fi. I mean, this is something that they did. You can see that it's fairly new. It's slow kill. It's called slow kill for a reason. Here you go. See, they're just chipping away at it, chipping away. It makes it look old and frazzled and frail and you know, when items are new, they look perfect. That's the only word I can use. They look perfect. The paint is in good condition. The corners are in good condition. Everything about something new or only a couple of years old is in really good condition. There is no wear and tear. And in many instances, if somebody takes good care of their property and their things, you're not going to see wear and tear on something other than a floor, a tile or a floor. You're not going to see wear and tear on an object that's sitting on your dresser or kitchen counter or desk. It just sits there. Maybe it collects a little dust and you're going to clean it. But these criminals like to destroy whatever it is that you have good in your life. And it's called Zersetzung. And it is disintegration, disruption, deterioration, dissolving something, all the D words. And it's spelled Z-E-R-Z-U-T-Z-U-N-G. Z-U-N-G. And this was a tactic, a psychological tactic utilized in Stasi Germany. And when those Stasi scientists and criminals came to the United States, they were pardoned. And they worked with our government. And the government took a lot of their torture tactics and incorporated them into their very own torture tactics. And those torture tactics are being utilized in the criminal, covert, terrorist watch list Targeted Individuals program. According to the ACLU back in 2016, there were an estimated 900,000 U.S. citizens on that watch list. That was 2016, and subsequently, hundreds of thousands more people have been covertly placed on it, including anybody that, who was at January 6th, who was over there. If you voted for the wrong person, or the right person, if you voted for somebody other than their agenda, if you're outspoken, and all the YouTube creators out there, you think that this is not going to happen to you, but it creeps up slowly. You'll be surveilled for years before the program is hauled out on you. And I'm just going to say that. And, in my case, I believe there was a lot of envy and jealousy and greed. I was an easy target because I was a divorced single mom, working really hard. I was working 4 jobs at one time, raising my daughter, who was academically talented. I was driving her to all kinds of programs, and the Brownies and the Daisies, and John Hopkins Center for Talented Kids. All these things. So it gave these criminals an opportunity to go into my life, into my house, and take what they wanted, literally and figuratively. And what they do is, and they'll do this to you too, and I'm just going to carry some of this water over and water my plants as long as I'm speaking to you guys. They'll be watching everything that you do, who you associate with, and this could be for 2 years, even 3 years. And then the program will be unleashed upon you. Your house will be broken into. You'll notice that things are starting to deteriorate on your property that make no sense. And you kind of discount it and just go about your business thinking, oh, it's just bizarre. Like, what is happening? And people are so busy that they don't pay attention. And of course, though, for a lot of YouTubers, you're married. You've got somebody else on your land, your property. It won't happen to you as easily, but it will happen to the single people out there. A lot of the single people out there. And I have noticed the signs as several YouTubers that are not single, some of them are, but that are not single. And I do believe that they're in the early phases of being targeted. I'm not going to say who they are. I speak enough about it that if anybody suspects that they are, you're more than happy to contact me. I can provide you with the resources and the education on what to do, what not to do, and just what to look out for. So the entire program is designed to set you up for a false crime, false institutionalization, false jail, false mental health diagnosis, because this is how they get their money. And it's also a land grab. So from somebody like me, I have land. I've got property. I have a house, just as I did in Manalapan, New Jersey, with the house that I lived in at 52 Sutton Drive for 30 years as the original owner. They want your property. They don't want to buy it. They want to deteriorate it so you can't sell it. They will blacklist your house so that you can't sell it for several years. They'll go behind your back to every realtor that you hire, and it's just astounding how many people can be bought. And I'm going to put it out there that this happened to me again recently. I hired a company called Noble Land Works here in Kentucky. The guy seemed nice enough. He gave me a quote on clearing my property across the street and helping me clear a field and cut down some trees. There would have been more if he did a good job, but he did not. But when he showed up, after hiring him, I guess it took almost 2 months. And I kept asking him if he could come sooner because the property was just becoming overgrown. So he finally shows up, 2 months later. I'm all excited. He's waiting on the main road. I don't understand why, because he could have pulled into my driveway over there. I have 2 driveways, one that goes up that way and this one. But instead he parked on the street right there. And as I was getting ready to go and meet him, my neighbor from down the block, his name is Eddie, pulls up in his car and is having a chat with this man named Stephen from Noble Landworks. So I asked Stephen, what was that about? And he said, oh, it's very common for neighbors to approach him, etc. And I'm thinking, well, around here, the neighbors are extremely nosy and have sabotaged everything that they do. And they're trying to steal my land across the street. They're trying to steal it. I'm the only person on the block with a land survey. Everybody else gets their land handed down to them from a grandfather or a father. So they didn't earn it. They didn't pay for it. They feel entitled because they got it for free. When you get stuff for free and you didn't work for it, you don't respect it, you don't deserve it, and you don't take care of it. So anyway, so I walk with him down the block to show him what needs to be cleared. He flat out tells me he can't get his machine up there. And I couldn't believe it. Like, there were parts that maybe he couldn't get it, but he lied. He absolutely lied. And I was so grateful that somebody was here already. I had him clear another portion of property up here, which needed to be cleared. It was very overgrown. And then after that, like, I'm really not believing that he can't cut over there. But I'm exhausted. I'm doing work inside. It's hot outside. And then he's getting ready to do some more work in my field. See, here's another spider web here. They put spiders everywhere. But so he starts to do work over here. So I needed some stuff cleared over there. I mean, normally I would just hire somebody with a bush hog, and maybe pay them a couple $100 to do all of that. But he stopped there. And then he did a little bit over there, and he created a whole bunch of ruts that were not there before. And he didn't say anything to me about it at the time. And because the grass was somewhat high, and by the way, this kind of grass, and I know it's going to sound bizarre to people who are not targeted, but I'm living here 3 years. I know my property already. I know what grows here, what doesn't. And I know that last year the criminals actually threw rocks in my newly cultivated bed over there. They threw rocks in there. And then they threw grass seed in my flower beds. So I'm going to put it out there that this grass here, I've never seen it before. I haven't had it. This is the first time I'm seeing it. And it's all over my fence, which I burned. I burned everything here. And it's all over my fence, like really up close. Somebody planted this. I didn't have it last year or the year before. It wasn't here when I moved here. Somebody planted this through seed in my field all the way down there too. Makes it difficult for me to cut the grass, but I digress. So he did that, right? And then he made a huge mess there. He did along there. He didn't cut here. You can see that. He didn't cut here or here, and then drove down here and created these huge ruts. And it was late. I go and give him the check, and I see him walking down from my neighbor's house. And I text him, what was he doing at my neighbor's house? And what was the conversation, again, that he was having with that man, Eddie, my neighbor, in the morning? He sent me a text message that he was out of the office for the whole weekend. The whole weekend. I left him a voice message asking him, what was he doing at my neighbor's house? It's somewhat contentious. They've been trying to steal my property. No response. I mean, this is not somebody who is, he sounds guilty to me. So what ends up happening, unfortunately, there's a lot of betrayal, lies. You have no idea. I'm closing my gate here. You have no idea how many people will harm another person for money. You have no idea how many people who can be bribed for money. Most targeted people, I'm not going to say all, because many of them, unfortunately, do sell out and go to the dark side. But I'm not one of them. I will not be bought. There isn't enough money on this planet that anyone can pay me to do harm to somebody I don't know. It's not going to happen. And no, nobody's going to approach me with a fake FBI badge and say, oh, you know, do you think you could watch that person over there? We suspect them of X, Y, and Z. Well, you know what? You could tell that story to somebody else, because I don't believe a word you say. And no, you're not going to pay me a gift card or anything. I don't care if I'm flat broke. I've been broke before. I've lost my job in the past and had to work 4 jobs to support my daughter. No one is going to approach me and try to bribe me with money. But I guarantee this man who didn't do the work on my property was bought. Why would he be at my neighbor's house? And why would he just not respond and say, hey, you know, your neighbor wants to hire me? Which wouldn't be the case. So this is how you know when somebody has been bought. And I'll tell you somebody else who was. And I wrote a negative review on Yelp. I attempted to hire a local real estate person. His name is Bill Van Winkle. And when he showed up, he didn't have a business card or any information on what's selling or not selling in the area. I showed him the property that I wanted to sell, and then the possibility of then selling the rest of it, and what I thought, you know, it was worth and how it would sell. And instead of working with me on that, he asked me some really bizarre questions. He asked me how much I paid for my land survey. And then when I told him that I was going to be clearing the property across the street, he asked me, how much does that cost? What are you going to pay for that? So this, coupled with the fact that Noble Landworks was talking with my neighbors, probably bribed him to not perform the work across the street, because once it is done, I'll photograph it and it will be for sale. And they're trying to prevent the sale. But since it's my property and I own it, they're not going to stop me from selling it. It just might take a little bit longer. But this is how this program works. Everybody is a sellout. Everybody gets bribed. It's absolutely amazing. The tentacles. How corrupt people could be, how easily corrupted people could be. You just have to wonder about their ethics and their morals. And then you wonder, people are wondering what's happening to the United States. Do you want to know what is happening to the United States? We've got a society of snitches, neighborhood watch groups. Should be outlawed, banned, defunded. Fusion centers that collect data should be defunded. There isn't any person in the world that needs to know who you and I have sex with, what we do, who we like, who we don't like, what colors we like. That's nobody's business. It's nobody's business if I've got a rooster. Right, Ivory? Right? It's nobody's business. It's nobody's business what I do in the privacy of my own home. But these psychopaths think that they need to know what you do in the privacy of your own home. And they will line up all these criminal neighbors with an app on their phone. And every time they photograph you, they get a little gift card. And that may seem exciting to some people out there that need money, but I can assure you this is the downfall of this country. Nobody fights for what's theirs anymore. They only fight over what belongs to somebody else. They only want what belongs to somebody else. They don't want to work for it. They want to steal it. And that goes for people that are degreed. This new world order, they hate it that people are educated. They want you to be educated under their immorality. They want to take away the work that you worked for by labeling people crazy, schizophrenic, delusional, paranoid, for even reporting these crimes, even when you have evidence. Like, I have evidence from Verizon that my Wi-Fi has been hacked, that my phones have been hacked. Third-party interference, they called it. But when I reported it to the Manalapan Police Department, they didn't want to hear it. It never entered into the police report because they have an agenda. And the agenda does not involve the truth. It only involves a defamatory, concocted narrative that the fusion centers compile by surveilling you for all those years beforehand, going through your garbage, your emails, your Facebook, who you're connected to, who you speak to over the phone. I mean, Edward Snowden spoke about this years ago. Years. I mean, he's my hero. Some people say he's a traitor. I don't consider him to be a traitor. He told the truth. He warned America about what was happening. And he was a very young man at the time. I think he was only in his 20s. And isn't it ironic? Isn't it just ironic that he cannot even live here in the United States where he was born? Because if he returns here, they'll murder him. They'll kill him with directed energy weapons. They'll just kill him. But where is he living? He's living in Russia. What does that tell you guys? Russia gave him a home. Our own country wouldn't give him a home. They called him a traitor. In our country, you're a traitor when you tell the truth. people don't want to hear the truth. The truth is offensive to their delusional narrative. These are the nutcases. These are the psychopaths. These are the sociopaths, the personality disordered narcissists that are running these programs. And I guess this is turning into a rant. It started as the water catchment that was damaged, vandalized. Yeah, see, now I'm looking inside and the water level is all the way down because these criminals have vandalized all of my water catchments. Another part of this program, this targeted individuals, criminal terrorist watch list program, is sabotage. They want to sabotage anything that you're successful in, like, you know, the water catchments. I'm able to water my garden with that. These cost me money. So first they slice it here. This is the second time they've damaged this. The second time. I had it repaired, fixed last year. I had a new one installed. And it was fine all winter long. I had it all wrapped up. It was working just fine. And because it's the weekends, all the criminals come out on the weekends. This must be their side hustle. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You see them cruising down the block, honking their horns, performing U-turns, screaming out their windows, revving up their engines. They're trying to get a response. And usually there's the first person and there's somebody following them. And the person who's following them is monitoring my response to the first person. But a lot of times they want you to watch those people because while you're watching them, they're doing something else on the property. It's like a magic trick. It's like a sleight of hand. It's a magic trick. So while you're watching them, they're breaking into my house. For instance. There was a YouTuber, I won't mention his name. This was a couple of years ago. I really love his channel. He is just so talented. He's a guy living in the woods, and he's built his entire cabin and out kitchen and outhouse and all that stuff. And he mentioned that he went into town one day and he returned and all of his camera equipment was stolen. Now, given where he lives, the likelihood of that happening is very slim to none. But I took a note of it because it's those kinds of things that are red flags for me. And then I learned later that they were encroaching on his property with equipment, building equipment, encroaching noise. A neighbor was bothering. I don't know all the details. I'm just speaking out loud now. And what he did is all that labor and work into creating a beautiful retreat for him and his family. He picked up and moved to the other side of his property and started all over again. And that's what they do. They want to force you out. They want to force you out while at the same time preventing you from moving. It reminds me of that old song, Should I Stay or Should I Go? And that's what they do. So back in Manalapan, New Jersey, when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, in a house that I lived in for 30 years as the original owner that renovated it from top to bottom, it took me 3 years to sell my gorgeous house. It shouldn't have taken more than 6 months. But what they did was they were vandalizing my house. And every real estate agent that I employed stopped working for me. They were contacted. I didn't receive bids. They would set up appointments and nobody would show up. Now I know that this happens from time to time, but it was happening more than what is usual. And then the realtors would be non-responsive. It wasn't until my last realtor, she's one of those people sort of like me. First of all, she's gorgeous and she has a lot of money. She is a top-rated seller. She can't be bought. She's not going to be bought. And she sold my house. She worked her ass off to sell my house under some of the worst circumstances. And she actually witnessed the vandalism. She witnessed, because while my property was listed, she witnessed some of the things that I pointed out to her, and she believed it. She believed it. But most of these other people, like my local neighbors here, they even have a lower vibration than the people in New Jersey. Most of them don't work and collect Social Security, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with doing that. I mean, if you need it, you need it. But some of these people are 30 years old and 40 and collecting. They don't need it. They should be working. But I digress. So this is how pretty it looks here. So the former owner, he actually lived at the top of the hill. And when I moved here, there was a very old mobile home trailer there. And I actually had to sign an agreement that I would not live there because there was a lot of black mold in it. Knowing what I know now, and when I moved here, the criminals were destroying that mobile home so that I couldn't live in it. Because there's usually, 30, 45 days in between when you sell the house and you move in. There's the closing and the inspections and all that stuff. So when you're a targeted person and your house sells and you buy something else, they're automatically already working on the new property. And since this one was a piece of cake because it was vacant, it was very easy for them to go into that mobile home and continue to depreciate it, devalue it, create mold situations that weren't there before. And when I moved here, that garage door there, somebody had tried to break into it. I reported it to the sheriff that there were a whole bunch of keys on the floor. The door jamb was broken, cracked. I had to replace it. There was a crowbar there. The sheriff never created an incident report for it. Pretended it didn't happen. And that's this local sheriff here in Jackson County, Kentucky. Oh, and just in case you're interested, we've got a helicopter. Right there. But anyway, thank you for taking a walk with me and allowing me to vent. to check on the new baby chicks. There might be some positive outcome here. My little black mama had a baby chick last week, and then she rejected the baby chick that was born yesterday. It was really sad. I had to put her underneath another mama, and she was freezing cold this morning. I had to take her into my house and warm her up, and she sort of came back to life, and she's in the coop now. And now the little black mama, she's looking at the chickie. She had another chick. So now there are these 3 little baby chicks, and I'm hoping that she accepts this baby. Hi, Jess. Here's my cat, Jessie. There goes another person. Isn't that amazing how people can crisscross like that on a remote rural road like this? But it's called criminals on patrol? Well, actually, I call the criminals on patrol COPS. And the other ones, the morons on patrol, MOPS, MOPS. So that was a mop. Revving up his engine. But I hope everybody's having a good evening. If anybody's interested in learning more about these terrorist watch lists and what happens and what to look for, the signs and the clues, please reach out to me. Put a note in the comments section. I know that a lot of targeted people are now watching my videos. They already know what's going on, but for the other people that may not know, please feel free to leave me a comment, a question. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, because this is a very, very serious. It is about asset stripping, defamation, land grabs, psychological evaluations, slander, pet murder, pet theft. Basically, if I can be so bold to say, it is one of the worst human trafficking programs in the history of this country. I'll put child sex trafficking, pedophilia at the top of that list. But the Targeted Individuals program is a close second. And here comes number 3. They always say bad luck comes in 3s, right? Here comes the 3rd predator. That one performed an illegal U-turn in my driveway last week. Just waited there for me to watch. But yes, these are predators. There's no good name for them. And I've had people approach me and say, well, you know, the neighbors are bribed or threatened. Really? They're bribed or threatened? Okay, to participate. No one has ever approached me to try to bribe or threaten me. Why is that? Because they know that nothing would ever happen. I'm not bribable. There isn't anything that you can do or say. I'll own anything I've done in my past life. Oh, here you go. Here's more vandalism. That's intentional. You see that? I just spray painted that this year. Oh, and when I first moved here, they did this. They rusted the top here when I first moved here. So anyway, guys, thank you for listening to me, listening to this rant. I've got to get my little chickie poos in. Oh, look, the babies are out. They don't realize that it's, let's see, it's, guys, it's 8:30. It's past your bedtime. Where's your mama? You're gonna have to go back in the house, guys. Yeah, you have to go back in. Yeah, you do. All right, guys. Have a good night.